Avebury has a very well known henge and stone circle, or group of stone circles. It's in Wiltshire, England. It's a scheduled ancient monument and a World Heritage Site. It is over 4,600 years old. This video will cover some interesting gems about the place, including how radically different Avebury is today compared to not just 4,000 years ago, but 100 years ago. The source of the stones, the impact of Marmalade on saving the stones, as well as some others including stone sharpening, possible Druid's mark, and a 1970s children's drama that was made here. I hope you enjoy. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching Eclectic Experience. Change seen through images. Avebury Stone Circle and Henge is located here in Avebury Village, Wiltshire. It's about 7 miles from Marlborough and 11 miles from Swindon and 24 miles from Stonehenge. It is surrounded by scheduled ancient monuments. This is a Historic England map showing just how many there are. Monuments in red and listed buildings as blue dots. Avebury is known as the largest stone circle in the world, but it is so much more than that and sits in what is often described as a sacred landscape with at least over 5,000 years of history associated with it. So these are a few little fascinating bits. I actually first became aware of the stone circle as a child when watching Children of the Stones, a TV series that was set in Avebury Village, and the stones did play a key part. It was then many years later before I visited and found out that the impressive monument of Avebury was still incredible, though not as dangerous as I thought as a child. Now, not least because Avebury was only really looked like this because of Marmalade. Yes, Marmalade. Alexander Keiller's family made a fortune from Marmalade, and he used the money to buy up all the land around here, clear it, demolish houses, and probably most significantly put up many of the stones which were laying on the ground or buried. In medieval times, the stones may well have been associated with pagan rituals or devil worship, leading them to be feared, and so a lot were knocked down or destroyed or simply buried. The stones were also seen as a very convenient source of building material, and techniques were developed for breaking the stones, heating them with fire and then cracking them by pouring cold water over them, and this produced smaller usable rocks, and this is why so many stones are missing, and also probably why there's so much stone in the buildings in Avebury Village. This is a map of the site showing the henge, the ditch and the bank, and the 3 stone circles. The orange circles are the stones that are still standing now. In the 1930s, Keiller started re-erecting the stones. Hardly any were standing at that time. He also started adding concrete pillars where the missing stones would have been. He did not finish, as World War II started and all work halted on the site. He sold Avebury to the National Trust in 1943 for the price he had paid for it as agricultural land. He added nothing for all the money he had spent restoring the site, most of his fortune. Now, onto the circle itself. When visiting, take a close look at this unusual stone, number 24. It's in the southwest quadrant. First of all, it's this peculiar shape because it's been partly reassembled, and unfortunately not all of its component parts could be found, leading to this unusual shape. But it was quite amazing that it was possible to build this much of it at all, and this was in the 1930s. Then take a closer look at it. This stone was actually a polisher. Have a close look. Part of it is very smooth. Now this is probably because it was used to polish flint tools, hence the name polisher, probably before it was erected as part of the stone circle. If you want to see even more prominent markings of a polished stone, this can be seen just down the road at West Kennet Longbarrow. This is what it looks like. You can really see the grooves. Looking at the Henge, the ditch and bank that runs all the way around Avebury, the ditch looks deep now, especially bearing in mind it was all dug with primitive tools, antler picks. However, it was a lot deeper. This is a picture from the 1922 excavation, and it demonstrates just how deep it was. 9 metres or 30 foot below the current ground level. Also, it would have had bright white sides from all the exposed chalk, quite different to now. Now back to the stones and stone number 8. If we look closely, there's this mark. Could it be a Druid symbol or an Ordnance Survey mark or something else? No one knows, but it's a real curiosity. Then moving to something completely different again, but involves going into the Red Lion pub. Incidentally, the only pub inside a stone circle. And inside this pub, there's a well. The well and the pub building actually go back to around 1600, when it was actually a house. The well is now a table with a glass top, so it's possible to see the bottom of the well. Unfortunately, when I looked down it, there was a plant growing there, but at other times you can see the water and see how the water table goes up and down. The stones used to construct the stone circles here are sarsen stone, an extremely hard sandstone. However, I'd always assumed the stone had been quarried, but in fact it occurs in drifts, naturally, with the stones laying on the ground. There's actually a drift at Lockeridge Dean, not too far from Avebury, which I've done a separate video on. Avebury itself has changed hugely over thousands of years, and it's important to remember that its primary earthwork was constructed around 3000 BC, making it older than the Great Pyramid in Egypt. These pictures from the 18th century show how completely different it looked then when compared to what we see today. The whole of the area then needs to be seen in context with the other numerous local monuments that make the whole Avebury landscape quite an incredible spectacle. Visiting tips. If coming by car, the car park is run by the National Trust, and although it's fairly large, it does fill up pretty quickly, so my best advice is to get there early. The stones themselves are free to walk round, and this is truly a special place. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll be making more similar ones, so please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching Eclectic Experience, change seen through images.